Welcome to International Trade Minute Quickfire Trade News, the essential podcast for today's trade professionals, presented to you by Renewal Law Firm. If you're a seasoned practitioner, this is where you'll find your weekly distilled briefing on the pulse of international commerce and regulation. We bring you the latest legal and trade news, distilled into straightforward, bite-sized updates for busy trade professionals. Sponsored by Renewal Law Firm, this podcast is crafted by expert trade attorneys to keep you ahead of the curve with concise, actionable insights. Perfect for your morning commute or coffee break. Stay informed without the fluff. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and join our professional community on LinkedIn. Today, we are diving into key developments shaping the trade landscape. We'll discuss the strong congressional support for the renewal of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, and the implications of potential reforms to its graduation terms and enforcement of standards. We'll also review a significant Customs and Border Protection, CBP, ruling on the country of origin for Brother Mobile Solutions instant thermal printers, plus highlight CBP's FY 2023 milestones, including their progress in de minimis shipments and duty collections. Finally, we'll touch on recent enforcement actions, including charges against a New York man for illegally exporting turtles to China. Stay with us as we delve into these critical topics, offering you the need-to-know updates for your professional practice. Let's get started. In a recent House Ways and Means Subcommittee hearing, there was a notable bipartisan agreement to renew the African Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA, before its impending expiration 15 months from now. Both Democrats and Republicans signaled strong support, but also highlighted areas ripe for reform. Key issues discussed included updating the terms of graduation from AGOA, which determines when a country has progressed enough to no longer need the program's benefits. This was brought into sharp focus by Mauritius, a country on the brink of graduating due to its improving economic status. Many, including Representative Sewell and witness Daniel Runda, expressed concern that without new agreements, countries like Mauritius might lose their trade privileges and face economic setbacks. Runda argued that no country should graduate from AGOA unless the U.S. has attempted to negotiate a free trade agreement, FTA, with it first, a stance that reflects the current lack of political will to pursue new tariff-liberalizing deals. Additionally, there was substantial discussion on the need to strengthen enforcement of environmental and labor standards within AGOA countries. These measures are seen as critical to ensuring sustainable economic growth and maintaining fair labor practices. Representative Ron Wyden emphasized this, linking it to broader worker support mechanisms like Trade Adjustment Assistance, TAA, which several Democrats insist must be part of any trade bill. The idea of easing country eligibility reviews was also floated. Some members suggested moving away from the current annual reviews to more extended periods, giving countries more stability and predictability. This suggestion received broad support, indicating a desire to make AGOA more efficient and impactful. Witness testimony highlighted the practical benefits of AGOA. For instance, Skip Richmond of DTRT Apparel Group underscored how the program has been pivotal for his business in Ghana, facilitating job creation and economic development. Richmond pointed out that maintaining provisions like the third country fabric rule is essential for continued investment, signaling his willingness to inject more capital into the region if AGOA is extended through 2035. Ethiopia's potential re-entry into the program was another focal point, with several representatives advocating for it due to its importance to the local economy and U.S. businesses operating there. Both Representative Ron Estes and Representative Don Beyer stressed the need for a clear path back into AGOA for Ethiopia, reflecting a broader consensus on the importance of flexible and supportive trade policies for developing nations. The hearing highlighted a unique moment of bipartisan unity in trade policy. Renewing AGOA with thoughtful reforms could pave the way for more robust trade relationships and economic development across the African continent, benefiting both the U.S. and its African partners. The discussions set a hopeful tone for the future, balancing the need for reform with a commitment to support emerging economies through strategic trade policies. During the recent House Ways and Means Subcommittee hearing, several key witnesses highlighted the pressing need for the renewal of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA. Daniel Runde, director of the Center for Strategic and International Studies Project on Prosperity and Development, stressed the lack of U.S. political will to pursue comprehensive free trade agreements, a move he argued would secure long-term benefits for AGOA graduating countries like Mauritius. Runde asserted that the U.S. should negotiate free trade agreements, FTAs, with these nations as they transition out of AGOA eligibility to avoid them graduating to nothing. Echoing Runde's sentiments, Skip Richmond, co-owner of DTRT Apparel Group, recounted his first-hand experiences with the benefits of AGOA. Richmond underscored how AGOA tariff benefits are essential for sustaining and growing businesses in Africa, particularly in the apparel sector. He pointed out that, while Ghana has been a conducive environment for business, the training gap between African workers and their Asian counterparts necessitates the continuation of these tariff benefits. Richmond expressed his intent to invest even further in the region, contingent on the assurance that AGOA will remain in effect until at least 2035. Both Runde and Richmond emphasized that the renewal of AGOA is not just beneficial for African nations, but also for U.S. industries. Runde noted that about 1.3 million African jobs and 450,000 U.S. jobs depend on AGOA. These figures highlight the interdependence of international trade and underline the significance of AGOA for expanding economic opportunities on both continents. The witnesses also put forth various recommendations for enhancing AGOA. Runde supported the idea of more flexibility in country eligibility reviews, advocating for a range of responses, from formal warnings to partial terminations, to better align with U.S. interests. Meanwhile, Richmond highlighted the necessity of maintaining the third country fabric provision, which is crucial for the competitiveness of African apparel industries. In summary, the witnesses painted a clear picture. Renewing and reforming AGOA is critical not just for job creation and economic development in Africa, but also for supporting significant numbers of American jobs and industries. The message to lawmakers was unequivocal. Action on AGOA is both urgent and necessary. In our next article, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, has made a significant decision regarding Brother Mobile Solutions instant thermal printers. In a ruling, CBP determined that 5 models of these printers will carry China as their country of origin for government procurement purposes. This decision was heavily influenced by the fact that the primary components and substantial manufacturing processes take place in China. Delving into the specifics, Brother Mobile Solutions initially argued that their printers underwent a significant transformation in Japan. However, CBP's examination revealed that the key elements, such as the print mechanisms, covers, chassis, and various other components, were predominantly produced in China before being assembled in Japan. CBP drew upon past cases, likening this situation to precedents like the Uniroyal and Energizer battery decisions, where imported materials did not undergo substantial transformation in the final processing countries. For trade professionals, this ruling underscores the critical importance of understanding the origins of key components and the implications for compliance and procurement. Staying vigilant about the substantial transformation criteria can help avoid costly missteps and ensure alignment with CBP regulations. Up next, let's dive into the highlights of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection's, CBP, Fiscal Year 2023 milestones, recently detailed in their June 12th fact sheet. CBP processed over 1 billion de minimis shipments, valued at more than $50 billion, through various postal and express facilities. This volume highlights the continued growth of small value goods moving through the global supply chain, facilitated by programs like Section 321, Data Pilot, and Entry Type 86. Test, enabling the trade community to experience an estimated $3 billion in time and cost savings through electronic clearances. A significant area of focus was trade compliance and security. CBP intercepted over 19,500 shipments involving intellectual property rights violations, seizing nearly 23 million counterfeit items. If genuine, these would have had an exorbitant manufacturer's suggested retail price. Furthermore, more than 4,400 shipments suspected of involving forced labor were detained, with the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act targeting over 4,000 of these shipments. The agency also made substantial financial impacts. Over $38 billion in Section 301 duties from China, $480 million in Section 232 aluminum duties, and $1.6 billion in Section 232 steel duties were assessed. Additionally, the collection of anti-dumping and countervailing duty deposits totaled approximately $3.2 billion, reflecting the agency's commitment to ensuring fair trade practices. CBP's cybersecurity measures are noteworthy as well. The agency successfully preempted and contained 6 cyber attacks that could have impacted $6.5 million worth of trade entries daily. This proactive approach included collaboration with the Homeland Security Investigations Cybercrimes Unit, showcasing the critical interplay between trade and technology. Lastly, beyond the monetary and compliance aspects, CBP's commitment to providing the trade community with clear guidance and rulings was evidenced by the issuance of over 6,400 legally binding decisions, further supporting trade facilitation and compliance. These efforts underline CBP's pivotal role in fostering a secure and efficient trade environment while addressing emerging challenges in international commerce. Stay tuned as we continue to track how these developments shape the landscape of global trade. Moving on, a New York man, Russell Miles, is facing serious legal troubles for his involvement in the illegal export of eastern box turtles and 3-toed box turtles to China. According to the Department of Justice, Miles allegedly violated the Lacey Act by smuggling these protected species without the required licenses and by falsely labeling the shipping packages to conceal their contents. The charges against Miles are not trivial. He faces 2 counts of smuggling goods, each carrying a maximum prison sentence of 10 years, and 1 count of violating the Lacey Act, which could add up to 5 more years in prison. The DOJ alleges that these illicit activities took place over a year, from November 2019 to November 2020, and that the turtles hold significant value on the global pet trade black market. The eastern box turtle and the 3-toed box turtle, both native to the United States, are protected under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Miles's failure to declare these animals to customs officials further exacerbates the gravity of his actions, reflecting a blatant disregard for both international and domestic laws designed to protect vulnerable species. For trade practitioners, this case highlights the importance of strict compliance with wildlife trade regulations and the severe consequences of violating them. The Lacey Act serves as a critical tool in the enforcement of endangered species protections, and it is imperative to ensure that all necessary documentation and declarations are thoroughly completed when engaging in the export or import of any fauna and flora. The charges against Miles stand as a stark reminder of the legal and ethical responsibilities that come with international trade, particularly in sectors dealing with protected species. And that wraps up our episode for today. Thanks for tuning in to International Trade Minute Quickfire Trade News. We hope you found today's episode insightful and useful for your practice. Remember, our podcast is proudly brought to you by Rydell Law Firm, your trusted partner in navigating international trade law complexities. Don't miss out on future updates. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Stay connected and continue the conversation with us by joining our professional community on LinkedIn. Until next time, stay informed, stay ahead, and keep mastering the art of international trade.